Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ben's Basement. We are here today joined by the Enforcer, another movie pod. We have a few categories, few hot takes. Hopefully it's a entertaining episode. Anything you want to say before we begin?
No, I'm excited. A few categories, a hot take here and there, and then end it off with some AI-generated questions. So
Yeah.
it should be fun.
Now we are moving into our hot take section. We each have one hot take. I know mine is one that's very, very controversial, especially in the older film fans.
Oh God, I already know what it is because we argue about it all.
No, it's not that. It's
not
not that.
Okay.
My hot take is that Shawshank Redemption is one of the most overrated movies I've ever seen. Simply because everyone talks about this movie and says it will be a top 3 you've ever seen.
Because it should be.
Let me give my reasoning why. So I think it's I gave it a 4.5, so I'm not gonna be. I don't want I don't dislike the movie.
Yeah, no.
But there are a lot of 4.5 out of 5 movies. There's a lot of 5s. There's a lot that I haven't seen. And I feel like with Shawshank, the story's really good. It's sort of predictable.
I could see that. I mean,
it's just nothing that for a movie. To me, if it's in that S tier, it can't be predictable. It has to be beautiful.
There's no way you predicted that he was digging out of jail.
As soon as you see that he gets what else would he get that little pickaxe?
For the chisel drawings the chess pieces he was making.
All right, I to be completely honest, I was like, yeah, he's using that to dig out of the wall. Okay. I don't care what they show me. Yeah. That was the predictable part about it.
Yeah.
And that's
spoiler alert. We'll put a spoiler alert.
Yeah. That's supposed to be the twist, and it just I'm not hating on the movie by any means, but
yeah. I think my favorite part of the movie is it Morgan Freeman? Yeah. Yeah. Is when Morgan Freeman went on the scavenger hunt and found the box under the tree. Mm-hmm. That was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, that it's a powerful movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's emotional, and it's just lacking that it factor that really kind of pushes it over the edge. I think all the performances were really good. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I can really say.
No, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I feel like your genre of movie, what kind of movie you like really changes how you view it.
Yeah.
But I still think that you are underrating. I get that it was a little, predictable, but I still think that it should be in your top 7 at least.
All right, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties there. But
okay, on to my hot take. This I thought of on the fly. You may completely disagree, but in my opinion, Quentin Tarantino is one of the most overrated directors ever. Quentin gets talked about in the categories of Christopher Nolan, Scorsese, Spielberg, who made the Star Wars, Lucas. I don't think he deserves it because these unbelievable movies, these oh my god, watch them, they're going to be in your top 5s, they're going to be in your top 7s. Yes, I've only seen 4 Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
But Pulp Fiction, supposed to be one of the greatest ever. It got a 4. It was a good movie.
I think the reason Pulp Fiction was hailed as revolutionary is because
of its time. Yes.
No one could conceive
But even now. And when you really think about some of the best movies you've seen. Django. I love Django. It's not that for me it is because I enjoy movies like that. But The Hateful Eight comes nowhere near my top 15.
I feel like
Inglourious Bastards, great. It doesn't come in my top 10. Pulp Fiction doesn't come in my top 10. Like, the only reason I'm calling him, he's a great director.
You don't think he should be in the GOAT talks? Is what you're saying?
He should not. He is not on the Mount Rushmore.
Right.
He may be on the second Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Maybe.
I see.
Give it 10 years, and Chazelle, Baker could all pass him.
I love Damien Chazelle. I really do. And
I just think, one, he's a weirdo. He's a creep.
Complete weirdo.
He puts himself in movies that he 100% should not
He
be.
also, like, Tarantino's not a good guy at all. He was friends with Harvey Weinstein.
He put himself in Pulp Fiction to say the hard R 10 times. That's the only reason he did. And Django, yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm definitely not defending Tarantino as a person. What I will say is, I feel like I understand what you're saying. Tarantino might not have your best movie ever, but I think what makes him so good is he's consistently great. Like,
yeah, I mean, I agree. He makes
when
consistently great movies,
when you see
but
Kill
none
Bill,
of his movies, I don't think are in that like S tier movie.
I've seen 6 of his movies, and
yeah, both Kill Bills are the only.
Both Kill Bills are great.
Upon a
Inglourious
Time.
Bastards is amazing. Once Upon a Time is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time is like in my easily top 10. Mm-hmm. And it's such a unique movie, and he has such a unique way of telling stories. And his characters and his dialogue is just S tier. It's just not being touched. I feel I do understand what you're saying, but I think some directors, like, you aren't, unless you're a Mount Rushmore director, like, you don't miss.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore directors don't miss.
Yeah.
And he hasn't missed from what I've seen. Like,
Yeah.
Like Scorsese.
No, I can agree.
I haven't seen enough Scorsese, but like from what I've heard, he's been making movies for 40 years, 50 years, and most of them are
great.
yeah.
I mean, Casino, Goodfellas.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss.
No.
I would disagree with you. But
I
I understand where you're coming from. I just disagree.
Yeah.
Cause what are you, movie style, like? Do you like the dialogue? Like, is dialogue a big factor?
Like, what do you mean?
For you?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
I think the wittiness and the kind of realistic aspect of Tarantino's dialogue is what puts his movies.
no, I
on
think
that tier
that's
for
definitely like Tarantino's movies. People act like normal real life people,
Yeah.
not these like people in a movie,
Yeah.
which I do really like. But I don't know.
And
I did come up with it on the spot. I was gonna go into like an actor or actress thing or like something about a specific movie, but
it does.
but like
make
if I
for a
come
good
out here and
conversation.
say Dirty Dancing is the greatest movie ever, there's no debate.
Yeah,
like we
you
can't have an
a
argument.
debate. It does make for a good conversation. The last thing I'll say about Quentin is his characters. There's at least one character from every single movie that's iconic. Like from Once
That is
Upon a
fair.
Time, you can pick from any of them, honestly. Rick Dalton. From
Django.
Inglourious Bastards, you have Hans. Django, you have
Django. Dr. Schultz.
Dr. Scholl's, you
Talon
have
Gandy.
like Kill Bill, you have The Bride, you have Bill. Even from Pulp Fiction, which I didn't love,
What's his
you
name?
have Uma Thurman, you have John Travolta, you have Bruce
Samuel-
Willis,
Samuel's
you have
parts is-
Jules.
Jules was the best in that movie.
Yeah. This segment is give me a blank. Give me a movie that fill in the blank. We have a nice little list here.
Can I start?
You can start. Yeah.
I'm going to start with number 30, actually.
Okay.
Give me a movie where the villain is more interesting than the hero. I think there's a lot of movies. Inglourious Bastards, we named it. I think there's a lot of movies where this is the case. But if I were to give an answer where the villain was more interesting than the hero, I'm going to say Schindler's List. Even though it's based off a true story, the way that the movie depicts it, it's kind of crazy to say this.
I
The
mean, it
Nazi
makes sense.
leader was more interesting than Oskar Schindler,
makes sense.
the guy that freed thousands of
Yeah.
Jews. But Amon Groth, you have to give it in German accent. Amon Groth, the Nazi leader at Oskar Schindler's work camp, that he was siphoning people to work in his factory and then had him live at this camp. The guy who ran that camp, Amon Groth, was one of the best acting performances. And when we get to that
Ray
list,
Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes, yes,
Yeah.
Fiennes, whatever it is. He was unbelievable, and the character was just beautifully played. And you every time he was on the screen, you wanted to pay attention.
Yeah.
When Oscar's on the screen, it's who played Oscar?
Neeson.
Neeson, yes,
Liam Neeson.
yeah. It's okay, interesting. But
Yeah.
when Groth was on the screen, you wanted to pay attention.
I think my pick here is going to be it's kind of a basic one, but it's one that really I think deserves no explanation. Obviously, I can go with Hans Landa here. I'm not going to. I'm just going to say Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah.
Because the thing about not only was it the best Joker performance by a mile, but I feel like Christian Bale's Batman is good, but it's not a Batman I think Pattinson honestly may have been a better Batman because it's not like I need to see what Bruce Wayne is doing.
Yeah.
I really want to see this. Every single Joker scene with Heath Ledger, you're glued to the screen.
Yeah.
And he embodies kind of the just craziness of the Joker better than you could ever imagine. So that's what I'm going to go.
Before you go to yours, one thing I want to mention, we completely forgot about him. Darth Vader is definitely
I haven't seen the prequels in a
one
long
of the
time.
top in that conversation.
All right. Mine, I'm going to go with 28. A comedian that nailed a serious role. And for me, I'm doing this for main reason. I recently watched Punch Drunk Love, and Adam Sandler just gives such a layered performance. It's a rom-com, but it's not one of your typical corny rom-coms. It really dives into who, I forget what his name is, but who the guy is as a character.
That's not where I thought you were going.
Yeah, and then also Uncut Gems. Adam Sandler has proven time and time again that he can do the more serious roles.
I'm also going. I would go Sandler in Hustle.
Okay.
It was also. It's not as serious of a role.
It still is more.
But
of
it's
a,
still more of a
serious.
more of a serious role. But I think Sandler does that really well, and I think I'm shocked that you didn't say Steve Carell in Beautiful Boy.
Ho ho.
I've never seen Beautiful
That
Boy.
was he
But
was
I know that
really
Steve was
really
really
good in that. He
Yeah.
was really good. But no, I'm still sticking with Adam just because in both of the movies that I named he is the main character. So that little bit more weight Steve Carell was supporting. So down
Okay.
to our last
My last one that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with 41. Give me a movie that deserves a sequel. I have two answers. One being my greedy self and saying Dirty Dancing needed a second movie just to show the development of Baby and Johnny's relationship and what had happened going on. After rewatching it so many times, the ending is perfect, but I would have loved to see what happened between Johnny and Baby. But that's not my answer. My answer is Django.
That's a good one.
Why Django? Because the end of Django, him and his wife ride off. Broomhilda and Django ride off into the distance. Django's a free man. Without Dr. Schultz, he's your average black guy on a horse. He's your average slave on a horse. Nobody's going to believe that he's a free man, especially with his slave wife. So I would love to see, one, if Django continues Dr. Schultz's legacy as a bounty hunter, but it'd be very hard as a black bounty hunter without a white guy to vouch for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or does he just go on a killing rampage and like causing these massive slave. I think
That's a very good answer.
You could
actually,
really explode. You could make so many different storylines off of the ending of Django.
I'm cheating here, and I'm going to my letterbox.
I was gonna go to my letterbox, and then I thought of Django, and I'm like, Django.
I honestly like. I feel like a lot of movies that I watch, I'm very happy that like this is a good story, and it really wraps it up in a bow. I'm just gonna cop out and say Batman because I've been waiting for ages for the Batman 2 to come out, Robert Pattinson. That I don't know what I would say. That's a good question.
Ooh, I have a good one.
All right, yeah,
Whiplash.
that was. I was thinking Whiplash, but like without Fletcher, like.
No, but Fletcher got it. It'd be the Fletcher and.
You know what
Charlie's
I would
story.
like if they did a sequel, and showed Fletcher's.
Yes, like a prequel.
Yeah, I would like that a lot. All right, give me a movie that the side, very similar to the first one, or the first one that I chose. Mm-hmm. Give me a movie where the side character steals the show. I think I'm gonna go with Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because he's just great, and his lore and his adventure in that movie is really good. That's not to say that Leo had a great performance, but I think Rick Dalton was a little bit more interesting, and he was a total badass. I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I think I'm gonna go with Rick Dalton. I think that's a solid answer.
Comedy is very different. Comedy movies are very different than regular movies.
Yeah.
But if I were to have to say one, I think American Pie. I think you've never seen it, and I'm gonna think of another one because this one's like, it's comedy. I don't want to say they don't count as movies, which they do, but
they
like,
do. I mean, yeah, you can.
Like, it's Steve Stifler stole the show as the fifth man in the group of guys. Steve Stifler stole the show. I actually just finished watching all 8 American Pie movies, and throughout all 4 main movies, Steve Stifler stole the show.
Who is it? Is it Eugene Levy?
No, Eugene Levy is the dad. Eugene is just absolutely brilliant. He's the only one that was there for all 8, and he was some of the movies only because of him. Sean William Scott is Steve Stifler.
I don't know if I know. Speaking of a comedy, I would like to give a shout to Mickey 17, which I saw last night. Really enjoyed it. Mark Ruffalo in Mickey 17. That should have been my answer. Because...
My real answer is Amon Groth in Schindler's List.
Yeah.
We already talked about it.
Yeah.
He stole the show.
Mark Ruffalo plays a brilliant mix of an Elon Musk and a Donald Trump type of guy. Little technical difficulty once again. But as I was saying, just to close out the conversation, Mark Ruffalo was phenomenal, and it's sort of like a comedy. Every time he came on the screen, he was saying something funny. He was saying something that I thought of a certain guy.
Yeah.
The level of stupidity.
Yeah.
That wraps it up for us today. Yeah. That we, went a little bit longer than I thought we may have, but it's never a problem.
No, I think it was a good topic. I think next time with two of the top 5 lists, especially the best acting performance,
it'll definitely be.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video.